cell service. Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order at 12:03 p.m. according to my clock. And Pat's traveling. She's afraid she might lose cell service. So the first thing we need to do is pay our bills. So I'll need a motion to accept the invoices and abstracts as they are.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Hold on a
Simon?
second. Here comes Randy.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Hi, Randy. We're just voting on our bills. Simon put forward a motion to accept our invoices and abstracts. I need a second. Pat's Pat's traveling, so she probably hasn't had a chance to really look at them.
Yeah, so I don't, I mean, I can't vote if I haven't seen them. But you have
So
a
Randy,
quorum.
can you give us a second? Okay, Randy seconds. All those in favor to pay our bills, accept the invoices, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How about, and Pat, you're just going to abstain?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Well, it passes with a majority, so we can pay our bills. And Jody, I will go in this afternoon and sign all of the checks and the abstracts and get everything in the mail.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's done. I guess today we will start around the screen with Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Okay, some of my stuff, I'm sure John Courtney's going to hit on. I kind of wanted to give everyone an update on Lansing Meadows. There's been a lot of activity since our last meeting. The July 27th Planning Board meeting, the Lansing Meadows special permit was looked at because there was a deadline for some of the buildings to be done the end of that month. And it was obvious that they weren't going to be done. So what the planning board did was they decided to extend the special permit pretty much in increments of from meeting to meeting with certain conditions to be met at each next meeting. So at that July 27th meeting, they laid out some conditions that were to be met by the August 9th meeting. Well, the August 9th meeting was postponed because we didn't have quorum. So I gave Eric a call and said to him that, you know, you just got a gift. You got a couple weeks extra to meet these conditions. And our next meeting would be the end of August 31st. Well, the August 31st meeting came around. No one on the board wanted to extend the special permit for another meeting. I'm thinking mainly it was because there was a couple conditions that were not met. One of them was funding the sidewalk escrow. I think that was the major one. At that point, my interpretation of the code was if a special permit condition is not met, that the code officer shall, here, I'll give you a quote. It says, if it's not met, fail to meet any such conditions of the special permit, the village code enforcement officer shall withhold any building or similar permit that would otherwise be issued in connection with the result of the granting of the special permit. The way I interpret that is his building permit would then be suspended because it was based upon his special permit. At that time, I put a stop work order on the job. Everybody was pretty cooperative at that point. The next day, Eric came into my office and officially appealed my decision. At that point, because of state village law, there's basically a stay on my stop work order. So they are allowed to continue to work until the appeal is heard. At this point, we had the BZA set up for next Tuesday, the 21st. The BZA, I know this is probably going to happen. I think Eric will go down the road of the special permit still being, the planning board not having the right to terminate the special permit. But none of that can be heard by the BZA because they cannot overrule a trustee decision or a planning board decision. What they can overrule is my decision to put a stop work order on the actual project. So that's what's going to happen next Tuesday. In the meantime, and I'm sure John will get into it, the planning board has had the first meeting with a new special permit for Lansing Meadows. We went over a few items. The main, I guess the main decision was to have our engineers, along with John Courtney and their engineers, meet to go over the infrastructure, the sidewalk plans, the stormwater plans, to make sure that we get all of this correct, being how this is a new special permit. Like I said, John will probably touch a little bit more on that. Anybody have any questions on that before I go on to the next item? Okay, the situation with the mall is basically finalized, just a matter of they need to get us a few items, like the final plat with the new easement that's on Graham Road West. Well, actually, it's on the Loop Road. That is for BJ's being able to have an easement in case you ever need to put water service in. They also need to get us a check for reimbursement for council and for engineering during the whole subdivision process. In turn, I've spoken with Peter Grossman. He needs to finalize easements and any of the paperwork for transferal of land. So I'm kind of pushing both sides here, trying to get these guys to meet in the middle and get this thing done and over with. So the worst thing could happen is this subdivision not happening. I think that's worse for everybody.
Mike,
Yes.
do you have a guesstimate about how much more time will be needed for all of that to be finalized?
My last time I spoke with Peter Grossman was actually in my truck. I had him cornered so I could get some answers out of him. And he was going to try to have them done before the week's end.
Okay.
And then it's basically, it's in their hands to get us what we need.
Okay. All right.
The Beers Cluster subdivision, not much has been done with that. Stephen Beer had written a letter to the village and to the planning board about some changes that were made that the planning board is requesting between the preliminary plat and the final plat. They believe that the planning board doesn't have the right to make all of these changes or ask for all of these changes. I have since sent them an email explaining basically our side of the story on why the planning board does have this right to do these changes. I will send those out to all of you, what I have sent to them, so that you're on the same page with that. They were supposed to come to the last planning board meeting and they didn't have council, so they'll be at the next one.
Is this change mainly regarding the roads?
Yes.
And yeah, it doesn't.
Basically, that's the biggest thing that the pushback is changing those T'd intersections, trying to at least get one of them out of there. Right now there's 3.
Yeah. Does this cut back on how many apartments or how many buildings that they can have in this development? Or from my understanding, it didn't affect that at all. They could still have exactly what they wanted.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I believe that they could reconfigure this so that it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think we determined that they could even pick up maybe another lot. There's there would be even keel or maybe potentially pick up another lot.
Okay.
Three other small things. The planning board looked over the proposed lighting law. And I sent out to the lighting commission, includes Randy and John, what they were looking for. I believe John sent me back information on some wording, and Randy and Tony, I believe you concur with what John had to say about doing some definitions. Basically, it was, what is determined to be, I don't know, John, what was it? What is determined to be non or essential lighting? Just so that
You're muted.
Yeah, and then the other one was what's considered 50% lighting, dimming the lights down or shutting them off.
shutting 50% off. So we wanted to make that clear in the law. I'll get that. I'll draft up something different, send it back to you guys, and then we'll see if we can't get that to the planning board. So I imagine another meeting or two that'll be coming to the trustees to take a look at. Along with other laws, Carolyn is working on a solar array proposal that I've looked somewhat at, not a lot. They're going to try to form a committee to, see, they and the planning board are going to try to form a committee to try to make some finite adjustments to it. My first reaction is the length of it. At this point, we're going to have to try to find a way to kind of condense it a little bit, but I mean, it's on the right track. And then Simon has proposed basically, what do these contractors do on jobs? Do they recycle material? Where do they dispose it? I'm sure, Simon, you're going to go over some more of that when you get to that point. I did look through that. Simon asked me, if it was a matter of, how do we enforce this? I think at some point, probably you and I, Simon, ought to talk about it a little bit. Get some suggestions on it. Like I said, you'll end up touching up on that, I'm sure. One other item is, I've been speaking with John Courtney about a TCAT on Uptown Road. As you drive on Uptown Road, right by Gaslight Village, there's a TCAT substation, or whatever you want to call it, that's on the south side of Uptown Road, about halfway up between the sharp curve and McGuire's. They're proposing to put it on the other side of the road. And their choice there would be to put it in the village right away. And if we don't want it on it right away, they're gonna have to push it back. Now it's gonna go on state land, which would be Route 13. John and I spoke about that, and John can express his feelings, but my suggestion is, if we don't want that on that side of the road, because there is a big swale and a ditch over there too, something they'll have to look at, is if we don't want that on that side of the road, that we tell them that they're going to have to get permission from the state to put it up there, and they're not putting it in our ROW. But like I said, John can talk more about that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish. I only got one small thing after that.
I just have a couple concerns with that. I mean, you're just pushing people to walk across the road. I know they do now, but it's kind of like a forever wild kind of thing. They do it on their own, at their own risk. When you allow a bus shelter to come in your right of way, then you're like, it's permission for that to be there. It's a structure. Then you're encouraging people to walk across the road to get to it. That road is, I would say, one of our primary roads in the village. It gets a lot of traffic, and I'm not sure they could extend maybe a 5-minute run and run up and turn around and come back down, pick them up on the other side of the road. That would have alleviated all the issues with the patrons of the bus, because you got Warrenwood Apartments in the town of Ithaca. They come out of the little access path. They have to walk across the road to get on the bus. And then you got University, 87 Uptown, you got Gaslight Village. All them people have to walk across the road to get on the bus, and it's not safe. The only nice thing is about it, they can congregate to, I'm not sure the name of the apartments there. I think it might be 87 Uptown, somewhere in, or the back of Gaslight. They can congregate there and they can walk across the pedestrian striped crosswalk to the park and enter there. We don't like to typically put crosswalks to the point of there's no position for people to go, no place for people to go. Like, at least if they're crossing at the park, they can use the park and they have a permissive, safe path to do so. I really think if you look at every bus stop, almost every bus stop that you go to, they're usually at the door, off to the side of the road. People don't have to walk across the road to get, typically without walking through some kind of crosswalk device to get on the bus. They're usually it's at the side of the road. I mean, in the direction of path, you know. So I'm just perplexed that they would even consider this for the safety and liability of the village and themselves. That's my thoughts to it. I don't know what you guys, we have to make a decision. This is redundant conversation. I've expressed my concerns in the past. We should make some kind of decision to let them know what we're thinking and whether we need to pass a no or a yes along to them. I want to stay away from it because I'm the one that'll be named in a lawsuit and deposed if there's ever an incident there.
I've touched on this with Bill Troy, and we have every right not to allow them to put that in our right of way. If they do decide to put it on state land, they're going to have to do something to our right of way in order to cross that ditch, which we can still say no to. So I've spoken, what is it, John? Jerry Stevenson from?
Yeah, McPherson Builders, they're the one that's contracted to do it. That's the one they did. You know, they come and put that one up by the Uptown Park. They totally blocked the visibility off to our Philip Dankert expensive sign we just put up. It totally hinders the visibility of that sign traveling north on that direction. So.
Plus, usually when they do these bus stops, they build a third lane or a second lane so that they're not blocking traffic. How are they going to do that?
There's no room.
No room.
Mhm.
I agree. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's something we can think about. I'm going to touch base again with Bill to see if whether I can say no to this or whether we need a vote from the trustees to say, no, we don't want to allow this. So I'm going to find out more from Bill, and maybe I'll have some,
Does anyone else from the board have an opinion or anything or comment on it?
It kind of seems easier if the bus would just come down the other way and pick them up on the other side of the street. It seems a whole lot easier. I mean, as for the bus stop going there, I mean, I'd want to go just take a look myself before I comment too much on that. But that just seems like the easy way to go. Bring the bus down the other way, change the route. And I think that, I mean, they're always going to have to look into things like that because as developments go in, it makes more sense to change routes. You can't always just have the same route in perpetuity and expect everyone to change around you.
Okay.
My opinion is that there is no safe place to put a bus stop on the north side of the road. And that's all we need to say. It's not safe. Now, I've driven down there and at certain times of the day, and there will be people waiting over on that north shoulder. That's their decision. And as John said, if we put something over there, then we're inviting them over to the other side. And if something happens, then we'll be responsible. I think we need to, my opinion is that we should say no based on safety reasons. There's no safe way to put a stop there on that side of the road. It's a fairly narrow road to begin with. So I think, Mike, just let us know if we need a resolution. Perhaps we can get the information and put that on our agenda for Monday night if you think we can get the information, and if we need a resolution, we can talk about it then and vote on it.
I have a map up on my screen if anybody wants to look at it. I mean, I could share a screen or something.
Jody would have to give you the permission to do that.
I don't know what happened. I've never seen that screen before. Well,
Yeah, cancel, is that on Jody? Jody, is that on your screen?
Hey, I'm working on it here. Hold on.
Okay.
While she's doing that, Mike, has there been anything else on that property behind the Ithaca Swim Club, Cornell, blah, blah, blah?
I haven't heard anything else on it. The only other thing, my only other last thing I had was, I should be getting some paperwork on the Aldi, the whole Aldi thing that, they're looking to go into where Rite Aid was. I mentioned that before. I guess they're moving ahead with that.
Well,
So,
I know that the Cornell property had a bidding process for the builders, and somebody was awarded it. There was two firms bidding on it, and somebody got it, but I'm surprised they haven't come back yet.
that's interesting. I haven't heard anything, Randy, in probably a month from them.
Well, they
Are they
just
closing
completed
the
the
other
bidding
Aldis?
process.
I'm sorry?
Are they closing the other Aldis? Are we having two?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I'm sorry, Randy, you asked me another question?
No, I just said, all I was saying is that I know that they just completed the bidding process. And one of the two companies was awarded the bid to do whatever's gonna happen there. And so I suspect Cornell's gotta come back pretty soon. You know, now this other, whoever that won the bid's probably gotta put a proposal together, is my guess.
Probably hinged on them getting the special permit too, I would assume.
Yeah,
It's pretty risky without it.
yep.
Have you heard anything from East Point Apartments about their western entrance?
Now, we still, I've asked them, the last thing the planning board wanted is they wanted to verify that that actual entry or exit can basically handle all extra traffic or whatnot. Was it designed for that? And if so, it was also mentioned that we want something that the village is not responsible for that road deteriorating and any effects it has on our road. So, I mean, by rights, we cannot say that they can't use it. There was nothing in the special permit conditions that said that that road had to be basically an emergency entry or exit and blocked off. So I say we get the best we can out of it and basically protect the village as much as we can with them using it.
Would they have to widen it at all? Because it looks pretty narrow. Or can they?
Yeah, it is. We have suggested just one-way traffic there.
Yep.
All right, where's John's map?
John, are you sharing your map? It was up for a second, but then it disappeared.
yeah, I didn't want to be rude and shut everybody down, but when the bus used to come down from Warren Road, they picked a lot of people up in this area here from Warren Woods. And then there's the I think this is this is University. This is Uptown Apartments. And then Gaslight Apartments backside here. And then the same way all the way down through Gaslight Apartments. And then there was some people that used to come up from the mall and maybe get on in here somewhere. But if you look, everything just makes sense to get on the downward travel or the upward travel. It would be right at the door on all the original bus shelters. There's a bus shelter that the village created here. And there was another one down in here years ago. And I'm not sure the rest, but see how all this growth is on specifically one side of the road. they sometimes double that road up in both directions. I'm kind of confused with that, but it sounds like maybe an hour run versus the 8 or 12 minute run or quarter hour run. I'm not sure what the deal is, but definitely all the growth is on the uphill stroke of the bus route.
And
But
John,
go ahead.
no, sorry, John, I was just gonna say they put a new one in. You know where the one they put in there?
They put one right.
Yeah, but that was not in our right of way. That was supposed to be done. That was done on Cornell land.
That's right. They basically put it right here. We kind of always intended for them to have like a standing spot here because they can use the crosswalk to get out of the apartments here because they insisted that the bus go that way. So, and we have pedestrian crossing signs. So it's yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk, basically, so the law, not stop. But they put a bus shelter right here, right in the blocking the new signs that we just, I think are very proud of. I think we're very proud of those signs to be able to drop that kind of coin and get them looking nice and really delineate our parks in the village. And it just totally blocks it for the northbound travel. So.
That's kind of all I have unless somebody has questions for me.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions from Mike,
Actually,
John?
I do have one question. I'm sorry. Can you
It's
hear
okay,
me?
Pat.
It's just
Yeah.
for John. Did you have the meeting with the IDA and the village? There was a meeting coming up.
Go ahead, Mike. You're better at it.
Should I not ask that question?
No, it's a good question.
We met with Rich, John, and I can't remember Heather's last name. I'm sorry.
Heather McDaniel.
Okay, I apologize for that.
It's okay.
And we basically discussed. We gave them the information. Let me back up a little bit. Lisa Schlelang gave them the information as per special permit, what happened and what not. And John and I gave them pretty much the specifics of how far the actual site has been developed, what is left. Basically as much detail as they really wanted to, as they really cared about. I came away with the opinion that they were not very happy with this, not as far as the village side of it, but with what Lansing Meadows and Eric and everyone has been doing and how long it's taken. There were some financial questions. There were some other, there were quite a few other questions, but all in all, what's going to happen at this point is at the IDA's next meeting I think it's mid-October, they're going to have an executive session to discuss Lansing Meadows and what would be the next step that they can take. And it sounds like, in the mix there would be possibly clawing back some of the money or at least suspending any money that's going to them. So it'll be interesting in the middle of October. We have been invited, and I say we as in some members of the village have been invited to that meeting to answer questions that may need to be answered. If somebody else wants, if I missed something.
If I could give just my 2 cents into that, they were fuming. They were very upset. They did get a little, Heather and Richard, did kind of get a little, it's like the two attorneys fighting over the Persian rug. I mean, a $500 rug, but it costs $10,000 in litigation to fight over it. That's basically where they're at. Mr. John seems to have the opinion that they can try to recover the $1.26 million and spend maybe $100,000 in counsel attorney's fees to do so. And they also want to end the pilot program, and that's what they're going to meet about in Those two items is what they're going to meet about in the executive session. He has about just under 2 years in the payment in lieu of taxes program, and they're going to try to put a stop order on that right now. But basically, there's no accountability for Eric's money. He had $1.26 million, and they put $1.26 million into escrow. It went to NBT Bank in monthly payments for Eric, and nobody has any accountability to where the money went. And we're here, and Mike and I here are battling this project, trying to fight over small, minuscule infrastructure purchases that they're required to do. And they're like, we're broke, we don't have enough money. What did you do with the $1.26 million? It's pretty simple. And I thought it was a fantastic meeting. It was very educational for myself. I learned a lot, and it gives me a lot of information I need to do our job. They were under the understanding that only 4 buildings total, because they did a financial evaluation on Arrowhead Ventures. They did a financial evaluation to see if they weren't giving him too much money to bury to help dig a pit for him to jump in, basically. And that's where they was 4 units. Now so that's all the money they intended to give him, because they thought that's all they could do was 4 units. And then as soon as they give him the money, he's back in here trying to get 6 units in, or I would say 6 buildings in, which is 18 units, if I'm not mistaken. And it was very educational. It sounds like they're going to do some action. They're going to have some big decisions to make, whether they hire counsel to fight this and fight the recovery of purchases they did, or and do the stop work on the pilot. So
They've received 1.26. How much more is there due to them?
just the 2 years of the pilot program, which is just some incentives on their taxes, right? I'm not sure exactly how the pilot program, but it sounds like the IDA paid for his MBT loan. It sounds like it's all been satisfied. And Eric's, thank you very much. There was no accountability in the money whatsoever.
Hey, Pat, I like John's version better than mine.
Well, I thank you both for the information. It sounds like, whatever, but at least we tried, right?
Yeah.
Or at least aware of things. Well, thank you both anyhow.
Let us know what you hear. Okay, John, we'll just transition into you
Okay.
now.
Basically, we sat in a meeting with Eric to discuss the stormwater and sidewalks installation. Mike's done a very good job trying to coordinate the meetings into a piecemeal version rather than trying to put everything in one lump sum meeting and just have it be overwhelming. We kind of want to just give them bare essentials to be able to get things done. In doing so, we were trying to work with them on installing a sidewalk with a natural ditch in between the sidewalk and the edge of roadway. We've done some more, and that's where our comments were on the master plan to them. We've done some, Donnie and I have done some more researching, and there was a bill design for Oak Crest Road. We pulled them files, and there's just no way we can have a 1-foot swale and have our road last a long time. So I feel like in the language in the code, it feels like we can go back and require a closed drainage system, require them to do it, just like we do every other developer. And this is we're not inventing the wheel on Eric. We're just continuing a trend that the village has done. Take, for example, McGuire Nissan. They had to close the ditch up, install a walk in the right of way, install drainage structures. Cayuga Ville, they had to close the ditch up with a drainage system. They had to put inlets in there, and they had to install a sidewalk. CFCU. I can go on and name all these places. Homewood Suites. We're not asking to do anything different. He thinks we're just singling them out, and it's very, very stressful for Mike and I. We've already given you the sob pitch that it's overwhelming, and it is. It's occupying so much of our time. Every day we're doing something with Lansing Meadows, and we're not spending just a few minutes answering a couple of emails. They did not order a single stitch of pipe to put that private system in, and that was next week's topic. But I went and made a bunch of phone calls to vendors and stuff like that to try to find the infrastructure and find out they never ordered anything yet. How are you going to get material to do your job if you don't order it? You know, just seek it and ask it. It sounded to me, the writing was on the wall, and I'm making an assumption here that they're not even intending to do a private system. They did a couple things to make it us think we're not, but we're calling them out on it now. We're saying, hey, look, get these parts ordered, because someday you're going to come in for a CFC and we're not going to give it to you, or Mike's not going to give it to you because you don't have water, you don't have sewer, you know. It's so, and then I got a couple of emails back today saying I priced the wrong parts, or I sought the wrong parts, and I did. But I was explained to me one size, and come to find out it was another size. But still, the vendor says I can get all this stuff. It's going to take a little bit, but not much. We can get it. We might have to substitute a few things, but we can do it. Enough said on that. I'm just kind of giving you the gist of things as far as Lansing Meadows. I appreciate any support that I can and Mike can get from the board and pursuing what's best for the village. My opinion is and engineers' opinion is that we make them put a closed drainage system in and install a walk, just as we do every other place in the village. We have installed numerous amounts of walk. We've done it at Pyramid Drive. We have done it at Northwoods, Uptown, and we all had to put drainage in, closed drainage, because we're limited in right away. We have 50 to 60 foot in some spots. Trip hammer gets a little bigger. And we had to do it during a trip hammer reconstruction project. So, you know, we're going to push a little bit, but I know there's going to be backlash. There was a lot of attitude on there yesterday from Mr. Bold. He basically said the village wants it in the right of way, period. And he got kind of nasty, and he ended up knocking off the Zoom a little early, if anybody didn't notice. He was really standoffish, and that's the hostility we're going in every time we go down there to make inspections. You know, it's actually kind of I take a witness with me every time. I don't go alone. I take one of the guys with me. I feel, not for my protection, I'm a big boy and handle myself, but just for he said, she said kind of thing going on there.
And we have the vehicle to back this. We have the special permit. And the planning board is going to ask John Courtney, what do you recommend? They're going to ask our engineers, Dondi, what do you recommend? And if you recommend, you know, a system, underground system, then planning board is going to put it in as a condition. I'm almost positive they will. So for them to argue, whoever, I mean.
If I could share one more screen real quick, I want to just kind of show you these are the amount of comments that we're having to go through. I mean, it's insane. I mean, they're trying to put a walk in with these sharp drop-offs right next to the walk. That's a sharp drop-off off roadway. See how that contour line goes back east and west? And then there's a swale. So basically, it's going to look much more exaggerated. This is what we're asking for. A little shoulder to the road, a little shoulder to the walk, and then a nice parabolical ditch to kind of hold and retain the water with a 3-on-1 slope. It's 3 foot out, 1 foot down. It's consistent to just the general design standards in anything you do. Basically, what they're proposing is essentially a straight down and then straight back up ditch to unify the two pieces of infrastructure. It's, you know, we got, just real quick, there's a 860 contour line through here. We have an invert at the pipe of 850, 658. That's a 3.5 foot drop off, basically, from the edge of walk right here down into this culvert pipe. This is something that an engineering training would just get, for his work study, would just get ripped apart on. I mean, they're pushing all the water here basically back to the sides of the walk, all there. They're using the edge of walk as part of their swale. I mean, I could go on, and it's just like, holy cow, you know, it's insane. I can send that to you if you want me to, Randy. I see you were kind of curious about it. I can send it to you all. It doesn't matter. I mean, we're not hiding nothing. If you just sit there and look at it, the elevation of the commercial pad went up another 4 feet. basically you're gonna have this big lookout building and over all the the buildings that he's building. It's gonna be, quite high, I think. Another thing I should have showed you during that thing, I don't know if I'm still sharing, but is we're proposing that they bring the walk, and they want the walk come to the Hickory Hollow Road and then stripe a crosswalk over to this other walk by the YMCA. We're proposing something like this to wrap that, and we can, because in the new sidewalk law, it says it has to go the distance of the property line, and that's the planning board's decision to allow this. We're only recommending it, just to bring that walk around the property line. So the village, this was an already established building, so the village only technically has to put a small piece of walk from the end of the YMC's driveway to connect to this piece here. And then we have a continuous walk system all the way over to Oakcrest Road. There's a boatload of stuff, and it's like I said, it's taken hours and hours, and this is not a subdivision, so we don't recover any of our costs. And this is the painful thing. It just seems like it's very frustrating. Anyway, I'm going to drop that. I'm going to move on to something else. Anybody got any questions on that while we're on it, though?
What do you think his end game is here? Because they're not getting anything done, which means that he's not getting any money out of the development. I mean, is he just trying to wear us down to try to make it cheaper because he's out of money? I just don't understand the end game sometimes.
I can tell you right now. So much. I can tell you right now, I've gotten lots of holes in the heels of my socks just from digging my heels in. He's not going to wear Mike and I down. His end game is probably some of the best collegiate football you ever seen. Nobody will know his plays. He's evasive as all. I mean, you just can't determine him, and you try to help him out, and then he says, "Well, there's this and that to it." He takes everything out of context, and he goes back, and then he tries to use that against you in an email. That's why I don't even like having conversations with him one-on-one. I don't know his plans, Simon. I don't think he knows his plans.
Is there any, because they've already got this 1.26 million, they've had 2 years of the pilot program. Is there any penalty if he were just to sell this now to someone else to finish off?
I don't think they have any. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, a lot of that has to do with the IDA. What they were trying to get them to get on board with the village here and carry the load with this. They have the real power at this point. I mean, they have the money to claw back or whatnot. So the big step was to get them on board with us.
Yeah, and I think we've done that. You could sense that this is just a sore subject to them. And one thing that they brought in counsel before any buildings went up, and they started talking about what can we do to try to get some of this money, because they've been working on it so long. They brought in counsel, and the counsel says you're going to spend more money than the property's worth. But like this and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, like this Richard Johns said, he said he is a law professor or something. I'm not sure what he does, but he sounds very intelligent, very good guy from what I just seen of him. And it sounds to me like he said now that there's buildings and structures on, it sounded to me like they had something to go after, some collateral. Yes. I don't know if they have a lien on the place or anything like that, but it sounds like if Eric didn't fulfill his commitment, whether they have a lien on it or not, they can go after it, and they can try to get at least the money back. And by doing so, now that Eric has an investment on the property, he's going to probably either fight hard or give in, one or the other. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, there's more there for collateral. Before there was just land there. Now you're talking about buildings, someplace where the money went to it, so there's actual physical value.
Yep. Any other questions on that one?
No, I appreciate what you guys are doing, because I kind of feel as though we're starting, hopefully, to turn a little bit of the corner, because I've always felt pressure coming from that development towards us and you guys, but now I start to feel that maybe pressure's going back on him, and as long as you guys hold your ground. So I appreciate it, because I know it's probably just a complete pain in the ass to spend so much time on it, but
No, we thank you for that. And I'm telling you, the planning board's been awesome. They have the planning board, the board of trustees. Ronnie's been sitting on these meetings. It's really kind of a comfort to us to know we have such a support crew behind us, you know, and it is frustrating. I don't mean to sound like a sissy here, but it is frustrating.
Yeah, the planning board the planning board basically has said no. And it's like telling a 12-year-old who's gotten his way all the time, no. And you should just see the look on their face. What do you mean, no? So the planning board has made a stand, and yeah, I appreciate it too, Simon. Thanks.
Plus, they've tried to go around the planning board because they know how the planning board is towards them. And they've tried to come to us somehow. So there was
Well,
that.
yeah, I want to echo what Simon said. Thank you both. I try to thank you every time I see you, but I know it's frustrating, but we can see a light at the end of the tunnel. If we don't hear a whistle, maybe it won't be a train. I appreciate everything.
I thank you too, and I think I agree that I think we've got the upper hand right now, and we should just not give in. You know, over the
You're breaking up, Pat. She hit a dead spot.
Well, regardless,
I think I don't think Lisa is going to allow the planning board to give in. She's reached her final end with this, and there's a lot of other planning board members that feel the same.
Right. Well, you know, from what I can tell from the feedback today, I think that the trustees will support all of the planning board and you and John. So we'll just proceed. We'll just do the best we can. And I think that the closed drainage system is a good option. It's really the only option for that sidewalk, because otherwise it's dangerous from the road and dangerous from the sidewalk. So
yeah,
we've just got to pursue that.
I
And we
agree.
can do that with a new special permit.
Good.
No, I tell you, getting these little things that these lighting laws, sidewalk laws in places, I think is only going to be something we're going to be able to use in the future, and it gives guidance to the developers to be consistent. But I'll get on with my stuff. We did a temporary pavement overlay on Dark Drive yesterday, Graham Road. I feel that it's a much safer path. If anybody hasn't had a chance to ride that, it was the only day I could get them. I knew it was going to rain, so I took the liberty to do it. We ended up getting it done just before the heavy rain. So I'm just still waiting on the culvert. I know it's a broken record here. Just still waiting for the creeks to subside and then be able to hit the contractor at the same time. We just been monkeying around, getting some little odds and ends done. We put Carolyn's signs down that she kind of requested. It made sense down on Cuba Heights Road, intersection ahead signs with some speed limit, speed recommendations down there. We can do everything we do to label things to help make the pedestrian, the other vehicle movement safer. There's just a list that can go on and on. I do have a couple equipment things I want to talk about. I sent you all just a quick email kind of summarizing that. Our new loader's in. The reason why I can't take delivery of it, because if we're going to take their offer of 67.5, it needs to be in that deal. That's the way the Sourcewell works. It has to be in that deal. That's the price. I budgeted 75. I know of if you study the sheets that I sent you, I know of a municipality. It's the one I live in. That I'd like to offer it for 75,000. I think it's a wicked deal for us. It's probably a good deal for them, because buying a new one we know is almost twice as much. But I don't want to spend a ton of my time going out to every little town in New York State and Canada trying to sell this thing. We usually sell them in auctions. A lot of the online auctions generally just kind of get the region, and we get used to that for nothing. So if we want to get into a bigger picture auction, like a Ritchie Brothers auction or something that's going to cover the East Coast, then we're probably going to face a 10% seller's premium. and along with a 10%, and that person has to pay 10% buyer's premium. And now whoever state they from recapture the sales tax. So whatever that sales tax is for their state would capture that. So if you figure, let's just figure for New York State, if you had a 10% buyer's premium, there's an 8% sales tax. That's 18% that they're going to figure into their mind when bidding on that unit. It's just, you're not going to pay more for something than it's worth. I went on to multiple websites to get a value of it. A lot of them I see from 49,000 to 110,000. A lot of them were averaged out on retail sales somewhere around 84,000. I talked to a bunch of resale people on that. They usually mark it up 20%, so they have a 10% cushion for negotiation. I'm all game for what you got to do and what you suggest we do. The auction is probably not going to get, we can send it for the auction, but we're up against that timeline. I need to make a decision whether we're going to trade it in or sell it outright to be able to obtain our new loader. Is there any questions? I sent Jody and all you board members. If any of you didn't get it, it's a 4-page summary of what it costs the village to own that machine. Basically $56 an hour, I think is really economical. We use it in the winter time. It does have a lot of rust on the front bucket for loading salt and stuff like that. The tires are probably about 70% left for wear, maybe a little less than that, I'm guessing. It's a good machine, and I want to try to get the best bang for the village's buck, because the higher I can resell something, the more money we can pull in for that piece of equipment. It looks better on the end result for me to justify the new piece of equipment's existence. One year, just giving an example, in 2010, we purchased an E35 Bobcat excavator. In 2016, we purchased that for $35,900. In 2016, we sold that for $34,500. It cost us 6 years because we have such good buying power. We get about a 30% discount off from retail price. So with that said, it cost us $1,000 to use that piece of equipment for 6 years. I mean, you couldn't rent one for a week for that. I can put numbers to, I can give you a big fancy spreadsheet. Well, not really. It's only as good as I can do, and it's not very good. But it's up to you what you want to do. If you have any recommendations, what corner we turn. Sorry for springing it to you on short notice. We just found out all this information. If you have any questions, I'd like to get some dialogue out on here.
How long do you think it's going to be before you find out if that other municipality wants to buy it and how much they want to pay?
I placed a call to him this morning, the supervisor, and he said he wanted to take a look at it maybe next week sometime. He was happy to hear about the hours. The hours are 13:58, 13:58 if I'm not mistaken, which is relatively low hours, but we don't let equipment idle. That's the worst thing you can do with this these emissions out there. And Michael agreed, because probably they explained it to him. When you have a particulate filter, the worst thing you can do is let that idle for a long time, because it ashes up the exhaust filters. And then when they soot up, it has to do a regen, and then it has to run at a high idle and warm up to 1600 degrees for like 45 minutes. So you're consuming fuel. So the best thing is when you get, it has a little OK symbol on the bottom of the screen. It's when you say you drive it up the road, it gets a little bit warm. You don't want to come back here and just turn it off. It wants you to cool it down. So within about a minute after you get back here, it'll say OK to shut down, and you just shut it off. So you're not letting it run. We've had to let it run a few times in the parking lot just to do a regen, which is cleaning the filters out in the exhaust. So next week sometime, I hope, but they only have meetings once a month. So I told them I needed an answer. If they're interested in next week, and after I talk to you to get a number of what you want to try to sell it outright as, they have to do an emergency session, because we're not going to wait. We need to get this thing moving. It's just too much.
How long does the offer stand on the new one and the trade-in value?
What's that? How long's the offer stand? Oh, it's probably there for I would say probably until we make our decision. but our new one's sitting up there. Not that it matters, it's just sitting up there. I mean, we could probably go another week or two without receiving it. It's not gonna hurt my feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, the in-service date and the warranty all happens at when the machine is shipped. That's when the service, the warranty goes. So
Okay.
I mean,
I'd rather you not spend too much time like trying to offload this thing for a few grand extra. I mean, 7.5 grand, but for what the cost of it is, 7.5 grand doesn't seem like a huge amount. So wait for this other one to come in. I don't know. I mean, if you go into an auction, do you put a reserve on it and you're going to lose 10% as well off of that
yeah,
price?
you can put a reserve at 67.5. That's a minimum reserve you can do. 67.5, what you got the offer at. So if you get 7 grand and got to pay some fees and stuff like that, you could be spinning your wheels. I mean, 10%, 6,700, $6,750. I mean, but I'd like to just try to get a couple extra grand and spend a week doing it. If they're interested, we'll do it. If they're not interested, I'd like to seal the deal and go after the new one and possibly trade it in. Any comments, anybody?
That's what I think.
I have a
Jody,
question. Haven't we before sent stuff to auction and there was no charge? Isn't that what you said?
That's
So
just
why-
what that's just what I said earlier in the conversation. If you
Okay.
want to expand your buying clients, then you're going to have to get into a bigger auction like a Ritchie auction,
Mhm.
and that's when it's going to cost you your 10%. We can do I think the next auction is the end of September. Probably starts to be the October 4th, I think, is the next auction.
And that's for the free one?
That's
Or
for the
for
free
the
one, but
building.
we're talking a couple weeks to get. I mean, we can put it out there as feelers. You never know, but I don't know. I think we're spending a lot of time. I'll get you guys pictures if you wanted the of either one. It doesn't matter.
Don,
So I'm just thinking if the auction is free and you can put a minimum on it at 75, then why wouldn't you at least try that? Because right now the price of trucks and equipment, everything is sky high. So we may be able to get more out of it.
Yeah, you'd have to put the minimum of what you got the offer of 67.5. That's just the way they always do it. I mean, and then
Yeah, but you budgeted for 75.
I know I did budgeted for 75, and that's why I'm trying to get what I can get, because I don't like to be zero. The machine at the time when we first started this process might have been worth 80,000. But if you remember, we skipped it last budget season. We're working on this budget season. I didn't spend a lot of time seeing what the values were. I just going off from what I see of them for sale on retail. What was you going to question there, Ronnie?
I was just going to say, very similar to what Jody was trying to say, is pursue the municipality, but let them know that there's a short fuse, because we want to get, if we're planning on also putting that into the free auction, and let them know what that date is. What's your drop dead date for a decision and the purchase of our front loader? But we also need to look at what is the minimum that ensure that we get at least what we want from the auction. If you can go higher than 67.5, then go higher than 67.5. If you can go to 75, go to 75. If there's any way to do that, it puts pressure on the municipality with a deadline, and it gives us a backup plan just in case that does not go through.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you correctly, pursue the municipality and then do the auction if they're not making their mind up.
Municipality at 75
You can
or
do-
go,
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
and
You can do-
just kind of keep us in the loop. You might copy me on any emails of that exchange, or copy the trustees so we know what's going on.
Yeah, I would like to keep, if we can do maybe one of you guys that wants to be in on it for Lejean, or maybe Ronnie, you want to be in on it if we need to, because I think they're going to come over. They want to come over and look at it at least. They mentioned it. And Ronnie, I'll just let you know if they do, and maybe you can come down or something and meet with them.
Yeah, if Randy or Simon don't want to do that, I'll be glad to do it. Randy, would you like to?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay, let Randy do it.
Okay.
I
And I
don't
would
mind.
I
Go
would
ahead,
just be
Jen.
really careful, because John, you have a connection to that municipality and you don't want it to any way look like you're doing favoritism.
But I'm not though, because
Be
we're really
careful.
doing due diligence. Absolutely. I'll sign, you know, we should make them sign maybe a non-conclusive, whatever they gotta sign, but I mean,
I
we can,
agree.
if I had a quicker auction, I would rather do it that way. It doesn't make sense to me to keep dragging our feet on it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I
I
live in
agree.
there. I pay taxes. I pay taxes on it, but I'm trying to get, like I said, I'm looking to get the best bang for the buck here because it makes more sense to me than I wouldn't even see that in my taxes, you know. But anyway, yeah, I'll include Randy if he wants to be in on it, and we'll meet. Are you around next week, Randy?
Yes, sir.
I'll see what they say. They might not even be interested. It doesn't matter to me. Then we'll just have to be like Simon says, we're not going to worry about a few thousand. I would. That's my opinion. The next thing I'd like to chit chat about is in our budget we had a purchase of a side discharge bucket, $6,200. Basically, we have not received it. We signed like a PO on it in April. I think it was April, and we haven't received it. I personally think that I would like to purchase it in its place something else. It's a self-propelled plate tamp. The $6,200 what we had budgeted. The plate tamp on Sourcewell is $8,005. It's like a state bid unit. If I could just do a swap in consideration for that, and if there's not enough money, maybe a little budget mod for that. The plate tamp would have helped us, I think, really significantly on the settling of our trench up there on Graham Road. We have a small plate tamp, but it doesn't have the hitting power the bigger one does. This thing weighs 710 pounds, and you have to lift it up with a machine to get it in.
What's it called?
It's a Wacker-Neuson plate tamp. I could show you pictures of it if you want me to. It's just a self-propelled plate tamp. The model number of it is a BPU 4054. I could look it up real quick for you if you want me to. It's right
I
here.
kind of like to see it. I mean,
Yep. All right, hold on a
I'm
second.
trying to decide whether this makes sense long-term for a lot
Right.
of stuff, or is it just something that gets utilized just once in a while?
No, we would use it a lot because it's something we could use on sidewalks and stuff like that. We're in narrow plate tamping abilities. Here it is right here.
And what was it that we approved?
A side discharge bucket for the skid steer. This is
Okay.
right here, BPU 4045. Our price is $8,005. Let me just go see what one goes for on the internet. BPU 4045. I think that was another one. I'm not sure you're
Oh,
seeing.
that's cheaper.
7,800.
Yeah. It might be the other day I went in there were 13 grand. I definitely want to check on that one. But the ones when I went on there and looked at it, I'll bet you there's some shipping on that because it weighs 710 pounds.
Where is it?
Meets California state emissions. I don't know. I'd have to hit the.
You might not be able to tell because they may store that somewhere beyond their offices.
Right.
Right.
You'll have to, the only way you could tell is to go in and check for a shipping charge based
California.
upon your,
They're all in California right there.
but they
I bet
may
you
have distribution points throughout the country.
I'll check it out, but I mean, the Sourcewell is, the ones I swear to God, I wouldn't joke you. The ones I went on the other day were 10 to 13,000. I was really like shocked. I'm like $8 grand. That seems like a reasonable price, but I mean, you're going to save 200 there probably and some shipping charges. But if Ronnie says they got some mobile offices,
They
around,
might.
yeah, right there. They're all different prices, but there's used ones for 5 grand, rent 122, all kinds of stuff.
So this would not be replacing the side bucket as far as utility. It's just a different piece of equipment, right,
Yeah,
John?
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm.
Just a different piece of equipment. It has 710 pounds here somewhere.
So what was the side bucket to be used for?
We were gonna put shoulders on the trails, and we've already pretty much got them done.
And so you no longer really need the side bucket?
Well, we would still use it for different items, but we're gonna wait another 6 months, 7 months to get it. I mean, at that point, we'll just have to seek a different alternative to what we're gonna do.
Okay. Randy, Simon, how do you feel about making the switch out and going for a higher price?
So what was the side bucket price? We
6,200. 6,200. I would need another $1,805. I'm not looking at the budget right now.
It's going to save you a bunch of time then.
Oh yeah, it's
Well,
time. It's time, but it's also like repetitive. Multiple visits as it settles. Did you know the road when we were doing it there?
Yeah.
It's settled, and we had to keep coming back and put more stones in it. I'm not saying it's not gonna take that away. It reduces that significantly.
It's easier to operate, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's got a lot of force, a lot of compaction, but it's reversible.
I mean, again, to me, it seems like the extra cost is kind of minimal.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about because I do this stuff all the time with like Monica, and I need the right tool for the job. If it saves me time, it saves frustration, it ends up saving money.
But how often do you think you would use this piece of equipment, John?
Every time we do dirt work, especially on water breaks and roadways and stuff.
Okay. And we have a lot of those. So any type of road work where you've got to do a patch or something,
Yeah.
this would come in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we ever trade? I don't mean trade. Do we ever borrow equipment from Lansing, or does Lansing ever borrow anything from us?
Yeah, we it's going to be different now, I think, with the new administration up there. I guess it's confirmed, but yeah, we do. We had a dozer come and do some push-offs from them, and we have done some trucking for them in the past, but they're pretty self-sustained. Other than their trucking, they're pretty self-sustained. But I borrow stuff off from a couple things. They're a little skeptic to let us borrow, like rock hounds and landscape rakes. I don't know, they're afraid we're gonna bust something or something like that, but we're pretty
Do they
good.
charge when they do that?
No, we're pretty good operators here, but they hesitate. They don't. I'm using it right now. I tried getting a milling head off them one time to do a job. I ended up having to rent the milling head, just because we're using it, and I give them weeks notice. So I don't think it's something you use every day. Some of these items. But
do you know if they have one of these plant tampers, and would they let us borrow it?
I don't know that question. I don't know, but it's convenience. I can go rent one, but the time you do all that hassle run around, we're a limited staff. It's not like I have 8 guys to say, hey, the guy that doesn't really, isn't really like your ace worker, hey, go pick up a plate tamp. It's not like that.
Gotcha.
We've got one guy, I'm in the office, and one guy's running a truck and one guy's working out on the miscellaneous things on a job. You don't really have time to chase things, or a lot of times you have planning when you have a water break or all that stuff, a lot of times things are after hours.
Okay.
We're not doing our job. We're not doing our job if we don't ask you.
Yeah. No, I took no offense to that, Randy, whatsoever.
Jody. Hey, Jody, can we afford it? Can we afford it?
We got money, you just gotta tell me where you want it from.
All right.
I'm conscious of always just saying, hey, look, if you can't offload that loader quickly, let's just take a hit, 7,500 on the budget and extra $1,800 here for this. But I also think about the amount of money that you guys save us by doing so many projects yourselves, like sidewalk projects, resurfacing projects. You save us a ton of money. And I'm conscious of the frustration that it takes to, if you have to go pick up equipment, if you have to borrow equipment, if you have to rent equipment, if you're using equipment that's not the best thing or the easiest thing to use. So in the grand scheme of things, I find the 7,500 and the 18 not a huge cost, considering how much money you save us and how much time that you can save by just having the equipment that you need. So
I appreciate
that's
that.
my position, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that makes
Jody,
sense.
where would we take the extra money typically for something like this?
Out of contingency, but we've already spent all of our contingency for this year.
We'll have plenty of money in our capital funds.
What are you not doing?
No, we're not gonna do paving on Oak Crest. I mean, I could go through and list you all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna have to think about things a little bit before I do that. Oh, we're not gonna be doing the Graham Road West probably this year. We're not gonna be doing a lot of things,
Well, we didn't budget for Graham Road West.
Like I said, I'm guessing if I'm gonna give you answers right now.
Okay. Well, we just need to discuss that and look at it.
Yeah, $1,800. I mean, I know I'll have plenty of money, or we'll save plenty of money out of the water paving project. I mean, we've put our own storm sewer in on Highgate. We do a lot of our own stuff, the lights down. And the thing is, I give you the numbers in my budget based on most of the time doing it in-house. So, I can't say, well, $1,800, or say we said $18,000 on that lighting, pathway lighting. It probably cost us $18,000. We probably didn't save a whole lot of money on it, as far as.
We encumbered 10,000 for Highgate and we spent 23,000.
Yeah.
So that is way over budget also. So we're gonna have to kind of figure that out too.
Yeah, I gotta go back, and like I said, I'm gonna pull my files up and really kind of give you the berries to things. I'm just shooting answers out there. If they don't want to do it right now, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Let's figure out where we can pull the money out of between now and Monday's meeting, and we can vote on it then.
Yeah.
Does that give you time to get the information to Jody and give us an idea of where the money should come from?
I can tell you right now, Ronnie, it's 5112.2. It's Capitol Highway. I always figure a little bit more in that. We always have tons of money left over in that. That's the history behind it. Jody's kind of got to agree with that. I would probably pull it out of the 5112.2, or we can move money from 5130 or 5110.4. That's usually a super strong one where we're always real close. We just won't do, we won't, You don't think we have money, Jody, out of 5112.2?
I think you'd be better off, like you said, you always budget way more for 51/112.2, your capital projects.
Yeah,
But we also are gonna have to figure out, you and I need to sit down and go through this, because there's also other, like I said, the Highgate, that line item is overspent already. So, yeah, we just need to discuss it.
What's Oak
have to do
Crest worth if you don't pave it?
Let me pull my budget up.
No, 2,000, 5,000?
110,000.
Yeah, so there you go.
Can you get a hard number on that piece of equipment too? Like if you look into that one that was the 7,800, find out what the shipping, what the actual cost would be.
7,800, yeah, absolutely. I'll check for let's see, this is 2021, but I'll definitely check. I'll definitely come up with, there's Sourcewell there. I'll definitely check into that, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's probably some shipping on there. They dangle the carrot out. That is going to be a freight carrier, not a UPS delivery guy.
Right.
So,
John, just put all that information and work with Jody to get where we're going to pull it from and get us the information. We'll get that done by Monday night.
okay.
So is that okay?
Yep. Perfect. To answer your question, Randy, 146,400 to pave Oak Crest, and basically I throw a 10% contingency in there, 5% contingency on that one.
And that's off. We're not doing it.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do it until they get done doing what they're doing, and the sanitary sewer project for Cuba Heights expansion, expansion project.
Yep, makes sense.
We're not doing Dart Drive. There's 128,000. I doubt we're gonna get Dart Drive and Graham Road done this year. It's 228,000. We're talking $1,800 basically.
Yep, that's fine.
I'll get you that information. I'll get you that other estimate from that wild hair thing I pulled up on the internet there.
Okay.
And we'll go
Yeah,
from there.
rather than researching it during our meeting, just get that offline, and because we have a meeting Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that'll be a fairly prompt response.
It's-
What ab-
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Regarding Dart Drive, have you heard anything from NICEAG about their gas line replacement?
When we had the Zoom meeting, Ronnie was in. That one was, I don't know. They didn't have a lot of answers to us until the big boss come in, Josh Sheldon from NICEAG. We had a meeting with him. I can't remember, Monday or so. Basically, I told him, you're not going to upsize the line in the village right away. If you want to upsize it, you're going to have to obtain easements. There's about 12 easements they obtain. I think there's an ulterior motive to their 12-inch upsizing. I mean, usually when somebody upsizes, like when we upsize the sewer and water, it's usually an inch or two, a couple inches, 8 to 10, 10 to 12. We don't go from 6 to 12. There's something behind it. It's not going to be anything. We did find out it's not for removing the moratorium. It sounded like there was something behind that they're not telling us. They kept blaming another department they're just told what size to put in. We just put the size in, they recommended. So the only reason why I don't recommend the board allowing them to put a 12-inch line in versus a 6-inch line is we have no room for more infrastructure there. It's pretty tight. It's really tight. We want to put street lights in there. There's going to be light bases on one side. There's going to be storm structures and electric infrastructure on the other side of it. So 12-inch line, they don't want to do it over the existing 6-inch line. So they are going to have to do it next to it, which that starts to occupy. They don't remove the other line. So they leave that there. So it basically occupies a 24-inch space in your right of way, which we have a very limited right of way room. There's not saying from house number 24 to the east, they can't upsize it from there because they have permission. They have the easements up through there, unless the easements are specific to the size of the pipe. Sometimes it's a 6-inch pipe with a 10-foot easement centered on that pipe.
You're going to hold off then on the Dart Drive project until all that's resolved?
Yeah, it's September now. I really don't think we're going to get much of an answer from them. If Ronnie could agree, it sounded like if anything, they would go to build, engineer to build. It would probably be late next year.
And that's optimistic even, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was optimistic. And the way I see it is go get yourself the other 12 or so easements from house number 24 down to the west. And then you can do what you want.
Simon, the way I was looking at it is we're giving them this opportunity to give us more information. And this year, if we don't get enough information, or if we decide that basically what John said, that they can't build in our right of way, then next year we will do our work and they will be working around it and repairing anything that they screw up.
Yeah.
So
we can keep dragging our feet. If we're going to go through this project, we need to get it done.
Yeah, we need to get it done, and because NICEAG is infamous for saying it'll be done in 18 months, and 4 years later they're still thinking about it. So we need to hold their feet to the fire. We need to go ahead and get ours done, and then they can be responsible for any impacts to our infrastructure and repairing it when they're working.
Yeah. So the Dart Drive won't get done on this budget cycle then.
What's that?
But Dart Drive won't get done on this budget cycle.
So
this is a good place to, if we need to pull money from something too, right?
Yeah, I would be honest with you. I would tell you, I don't know how to tell the people on Dart Drive that we're just not going to get it done. Yeah. Not without getting a lot of backlash on it.
One of my big concerns is that the auditors do not like when you're scheduling to do these jobs over and over again and never doing them. So we do need to make sure that we are getting our projects done, or if we can't do one project, we need to do another project, because it's always been, you know, you have to do so many, you know, miles of road every day, every year. I don't know if any of these projects, because our budget does go until May 31st, if any of these projects will get done in the spring.
Well, we could definitely start them in the spring and then just get, you know, some encumbrance going there. I mean, I'm not opposed to starting it. I really want to get, there's two main projects, then I'm gonna take a couple years off. I'm just kidding. As I would like to get Graham Road West done and Dart Drive done. I think those are the two monster projects. The water and sewer expansion projects, I mean, that's basically being contracted out, so not too worried about that. I guess on the agenda for Monday night might be some kind of a real review for the, I'm not sure if the planning board has to review anything there. Do they, Mike, on that, the ground disturbance or anything? Mike.
You're muted, Mike.
To do what, John?
For the sewer expansion project. They're doing, what is the secret review? Is it Monday night?
Yes.
I haven't seen the secret review yet.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
We got a full fall EAF form.
Yeah,
But
send that over, definitely.
okay.
Ronnie, could you send it to us after the changes that Dave made for you?
They weren't inside he just gave me the text to go within there, but I'll pass both along.
Okay.
I will do that. So we'll have to be sure and go through that Monday night, unless we don't have it ready to go. But
Yeah.
From what I understand, we need to try so we could get that project triggered.
Yeah, we need that for our Tompkins County approvals and DEC approvals.
Right. I'm making a note here. What about Warren Road, John?
We got some pretty good news the other day. The water line, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some pretty good news the other day. The pipe supplier was looking like January before they were going to get the pipe. So they said they have a big shipment of zinc coated pipe, which is better because it's coated. And they said that they were going to try to pass that pipe along at the same price as the bid price.
Okay.
I think we would save quite a bit of money there and get a better product. I guess
Okay.
the town of Ithaca, or city of Ithaca, has been using the zinc coated lines. I never even heard of them before this year. Zinc coated line. They've been using it for 20 years down there in city of Ithaca.
Okay.
So sound pretty interesting. And then I'm sitting down with Kirsten Gutenberger, which is Peter's wife, to discuss possible relocation of the water line for Brown Road. We don't have any easements up there whatsoever. There's a 10 and 12-inch line sistering up through there. We just want to put another one in there because the existing 10-inch line goes underneath a bunch of power transformers and big oak trees that are probably, I would say, as old as a B&T park. And I would rather not disturb all that stuff and increase the price of the project over boring and other ways of doing it.
Does the zinc coated pipe, does that increase our installation costs as far as time? Huh?
Not a bit. No, it's
okay. All right. Good.
How's it? You can't. It looks the same. It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
No special considerations or equipment or okay.
The only thing I asked, I thought it was going to save us money because they call it a poly encasement, which is like a garbage bag to show over the pipe to prevent corrosion on the pipe. I thought, well, if we got zinc coated pipe, maybe we wouldn't have to do the poly bag. It's still recommended to do the poly bag just because in collaboration with the zinc, the poly bag, we have super high corrosive soils in this area. We did a dig test on the T-main down at the end of Pyramid Drive the other day, and they took soil samples of that T-main because we had to do the test dig on it so we could get that storm designed for the mall that we're doing 1/3, 2/3 shared cost on.
Right.
We did some redesigning on it, and it's something I think we can do in-house to save a bunch of money. Or we can just let them do it and they're contractors. We're gonna save money if we do it in-house. They save money if we save money. But if they do it and it costs them more, we have to pay more. So it just slides the scale along however you want to do it. But I can tell you right now, it's the state bid price around that pipe is gonna save substantial right there, probably 20% right there alone.
John,
Yeah.
somebody told me that the state is planning on doing a clover leaf at the Warren Road, Route 13 intersections. Have you heard anything like that?
Like a roundabout? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I don't know. They said a clover leaf. I don't know.
I guess that's not in my techniques as a village. I don't really know what that is, Randy, but.
And if they were going, well, if
gonna
the state
go
was
out.
going to change that intersection, wouldn't that affect some of the pipe up through there?
It would affect very little because I think we only have a water line that's coming and sewer. If you were to drive straight off from Dart Drive, that's where our sewer and water comes down. From like the courtyard and to the north from the jail area. It's probably not going to affect it, but it's going to affect Dart Drive. I can tell you that right now. If they're going to put, if you look at the map, the Google Maps, and look at the road right away, there is a ton of ignore. There's a ton of state-owned property there, and their thought was to put a roundabout in like what's down in Horseheads, I think Newfield is what they're thinking.
But when I hear clover leaf, I'm thinking trip hammer, like the way trip hammer is laid out. That's a clover leaf.
No, that's
Huh.
just an off ramp. Cloverleaf would be a complete circle around to get on and off 4 ways.
Hmm.
If they did anything like that, I've heard that at one point they were considering something, an overpass or something similar to trip hammer, but that's been dropped. They're
Well, if you
doing
got any connections at the state, the state guys here, maybe telling them you're thinking of doing some work up there and see if they'll tell you if they're going to make any changes to the intersection. Be curious.
Yeah, real quick, I can show you something real quick. I think it's food for thought.
Oh,
Look at this, the right-of-way line here. Comes all the way down through here.
yeah.
This is all reserved for a roundabout
Wow.
and possibly an overpass. So they own a ton of acreage here.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they own like right into Dart here, from my understanding.
Wow.
I know they talked about making Dart a roundabout because the state said the close vicinity to the way the intersection is to 13 was very dangerous. So I don't know whatever happened to it. It was in consideration. I think they're getting a lot of heat from the accidents they're having in Warren and Sapsucker Woods. Last night there was a T-bone accident at Brown Road, Sapsucker Woods, and definitely airbags deployed. So there was a lot of, I would think, some injuries there.
There was one lost Friday as well.
Yeah, that's just a numbers
Two in a
game.
week.
Yeah. Like playing Frogger. Nobody remembers Frogger, do they? The frog trying to jump across the road. That's only a matter of time. That's all I really have.
Okay.
Things have been busy, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel your pain. Jody.
I sent everyone a bunch of changes that need to happen to the employee handbook. Did everybody get that? Yeah. So, the changes that we need to talk about is, since Ronnie is the mayor, the workplace violence document needs to have his name listed as a contact. The BZA meetings are happening at 7 p.m. The handbooks are 7:30, so that needs to be updated. Under other personnel policies, we need to add the pandemic operation plan that we now have. It does say that it's listed in an employee manual. It's not. So we just need to make sure we get that in there. And then back in February, the board started discussing updating the retirement health benefit section. Currently, it says that maximum benefit is 60% of a monthly premium for a single person up to $2,400 annually. Currently, the actual single premium is around $700 a month. But we don't have anybody on that right now. And family coverage is around $1,800 a month. So if the village would pay 60% of a single, it would cost the village $5,040. And if they paid 60% of a family, it would cost the village $12,960. So you just got to remember too, this is once everybody has been with the village at least 20 years, is at least 55 and has retired with a bona fide plan from New York State. So I don't know what you want to do. I know you guys have gone into executive session before and talked about this. I'm just bringing it back because we do need to do something.
I thought that we had decided just to remove the $2,400 cap, but we can go back and double check.
Mm-hmm. No, we haven't decided anything.
There's nothing decided? Okay.
Nope.
So that's probably a longer discussion than we should have today. I'd rather do that with Pat here and
Okay.
Carolyn.
Mhm.
So let's postpone that part at least. But the other, I don't see any problem making the other changes if no one else does.
Do we have to vote on that or?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a change to our employee handbook, which is a formal document for the village employees.
Mhm.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt those into the employee handbook.
Second.
Randy seconds. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so we're voting on the first three items that Jody gave to us. We're going to postpone a decision on the fourth. Jody, what does that do to the update to the employee handbook? Will that delay until we make that decision on the final one? On the
No, I'll go ahead and do those updates, but I'm not going to
Okay.
send out another signature page to everyone until you do all the changes.
okay, all right.
So I'll just
Okay,
do
thank
that.
you.
And then, I don't know, do you guys want an executive session on Monday to discuss this again?
Yeah, I think we should.
Can I just ask one quick question about number 4? Does this affect anyone currently? Do we have any retiree that this would affect right now?
What do you, like, the only person
Like
that we
not-
have is on retirement is Ben Curtis. His, his benefit that he retired with, he would stick with that. This would only go from here forward. So
Okay.
at this point, if somebody was 55, had 20 years in and wanted to retire, the only person that could do that right at this point would be me, but I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, thanks.
So,
When was that, and when was that $2,400 cap put on? Like how many years old is this current policy?
I'd have to go back and look. I'm saying probably, I don't know, maybe 2014. I can look back
Okay.
because I have.
I thought it was 95 is what I got out of it.
No, because I've been here since 98 and it happened after I was here.
But it's been a while.
Yes, it's been
Yeah.
a long while.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let's put that on as an executive session for Monday night, and we'll see if we can't come to a final decision and come out and vote on it.
okay,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. Anything else, Jody? Anything else?
Nope, I think that's pretty much all I had.
Okay, we got all of our bills paid, so that's done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Randy, you have anything?
No, I think not. I tried to ask as we're going along. You and I had an email chat this morning about the Thomas County Youth Services Board, so got that
Yeah.
covered. Actually, Jody, you're working from home now, right?
Yep.
Are you coming into the office at all? I need to notarize something for the Thomas County Youth Services Board.
Nope, I won't be able to be in the office until next Friday.
All right.
You can go to the town of Lansing, they notarize stuff, and also the trust company.
Oh, I gotta back up. I got
Okay.
somebody else that'll do it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, Ronnie, real quick.
Yeah.
I've been getting a bunch of emails. Did you get hacked again?
No, I did not get hacked. What has happened, John, is that a hacker of some sort, has gone onto our website, which lists our email addresses, and so they send things out and that look like it's from me, but they haven't really hacked my account because they're not using my account. They're not sending the email through my account, but they're spoofing it to look like it's from me. But
Okay.
if you hover over the sender's email or name, you'll see that it's some kind of a bizarre email address.
Yeah, okay.
That
All right.
that because it's public information, they can do that. There's no way we can prevent it.
No, I know. We get tons of stuff in the mail just because our name's on a website. So
I know, but no, I haven't been hacked in one respect, but our website's been hacked from another. But it's just because it's public information. We try to communicate that out.
You've been getting them too, Mike?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that cash I dropped off at the bus stop, you're not gonna get it?
No comment.
Now that one, no.
So I gather that the Zoom meetings are back on through January. Is that what it was?
Yeah, so-
January 15th, 2022.
Right. So we can have either full remote or hybrid meetings if we choose until January 15th. But I see no reason to expose any of ourselves to other people. So we'll just do full remote. And if we ever need a hybrid meeting for some reason, we'll let everyone know. But at that point, we'll only need, we really don't need anyone in our office except for one person to control the Zoom meeting at this point. After January 15th, we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yep.
So full Zoom right now.
Yep. And is the training session still on in Albany? I'm kind of surprised they still do that then.
Yep.
ICOM.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Nothing else for
All right.
me.
Okay, Simon.
Yeah, the Joint Youth Commission needs another representative from the village. So I was going to write the article in the newsletter asking if, anyone in the village wanted to join up. And then I thought I'd just expand that into, are there any other positions that need to be filled? So Mike, does the planning board still need an alternate, or has that been filled?
Needs to be.
They do? Okay. Does the BZA need an alternate, or are they even, okay.
I don't think we need
Wait,
one.
Mike says no and Jody says yes.
Jody said yes, but I don't think we need one, do we? I
Yes. We haven't had one in a long time.
was
Yeah,
gonna say, we've never had one, and
since you've been there, yeah, we're lucky to even find enough members for the BZA.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right, so I'll put those in. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, Mike brought up before about the construction and demolition waste policy. So this came up from a Climate Smart Communities pledge element, that we get credit for having a policy of how we deal with construction and demo waste. So I reached out to John because this will be two parts. It'll be one for how does the village itself, how does the DPW get rid of this waste and recycle waste. So I reached out to John, and I'm not going to write any policy without, I want it to work for John and Mike. I don't want it to be extra work and extra labor for them. So I would write whatever John is currently doing into the policy, which is pretty much that all of our projects are carefully engineered, so we don't have a whole lot of waste. If we do have leftover materials, they're either returned or we hold on to them for future projects, and we recycle anything that can be feasibly recycled. And then I reached out to Mike just to send him a policy of what the village of Montour Falls had done, because there's not many villages that tackle this, because it seems to be something that only larger municipalities do because they can oversee it, or they have their own waste facilities to dispose of this sort of waste and recycle it. but some smaller villages have looked at it, and either they give incentives for projects that recycle, or they're very sort of low targets of, we would like you to recycle 25% of anything that can be easily recycled. So like concrete and asphalt could be recycled, but they're not really looking at those. They're just looking at plastic and metal. And it would be at the discretion of the code enforcement officer, which I would recommend Mike doesn't even really enforce. It's just the policy that's there, and that contractors have to fill in the form saying, hey, this is how much waste we think we're going to generate, and this is how we're going to recycle, 25%. And it's really just to get people thinking about recycling, rather than, Mike going there and saying, well, you're at 22%, you didn't quite hit the target. And I was speaking with Gretchen Worth this week, and she's from a group called Crowd, which is an acronym for something that I can't remember. It's like Zero Waste Development and Construction. It's a Cornell collaborative, and what they would like to see in a policy really is just a bare minimum of, they're developing a calculator that can allow contractors, so they can say, look, I'm demoing and rebuilding a 500 square foot kitchen, and there'll be a calculator that contractors can figure out how much waste they're going to generate. And it's really just for data collection, so that down the track we can figure out how to recycle better from construction and demo projects. So this is really early days. I've been looking at it for all of 2 or 3 weeks. We have a task force meeting tonight with CSC where I'll bring this up for the first time. But that's sort of something that I've been looking at, but I don't want it to create extra work on anyone. So I'll discuss it further tonight, Mike, with these guys and with Ronnie, and just let you know if we have some sort of direction. But I don't want it to create work for you, and I don't want you to think that, all right, I've got to be going out to project now and making sure that people are recycling exactly 25% or 30% or whatever we decide on. It's really just to get people thinking about this, because I think it'll come down the pipeline in the future. I'm pretty sure that the state is going to mandate something at some point in the next few years, that construction projects have to recycle, or at least let us know how much kind of waste they're generating.
At this point, Simon, as far as tracking, like if somebody were to demo a house, basically anything that's built before 1976 needs to be abated. And at that point, then there's a paper trail on where they take it, where they're able to dispose of it, depending on if they find asbestos, depending on whether it's hot or not. So that's when you start getting into the state regulations of it. We don't really have anything here in the village, as you and I discussed.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the size of the project? Is that like for a complete demo?
You talking about for the state regs?
Yeah.
It depends on what it's not so much size as in what they're taking off. It doesn't matter what size. If the house is before 1976, any type of roofing, they have to take off, you need to have it abated first. That drop dead point, that 1976, that's a drop dead point that I can require anything being done to that, whether they're tearing a kitchen out, whether they're whether they're redoing a basement, especially if they're redoing a basement where the old pipes are wrapped with asbestos. But 1976 is the cutoff.
Okay.
Interesting.
And there's, demolition and renovation, is there any difference in the term there, or renovation includes demolition?
Kind of all depends on what they're doing,
Anything else?
I'll run anything by you first.
Right.
Then again, if it makes no sense, but if you got asbestos in your siding and you're the homeowner, you can take it down yourself.
Yeah.
Without hiring a crew and going through so it never gets traced if you take it yourself. It's just kind of a weird setup.
That is odd. Anything else, Simon?
No, I think that's it. Or the JYC, there was a meeting the other night. Their new budget is going to come out. I think at the end of this month, I think there will probably be a 2.5% increase in that. And Randy, I got your email about the youth services board. So I kind of agree with you. I find all these youth services, it can get to be a tangled web of what's what, and what do they all do. I think we need to sit down and discuss at some point. So if you want to discuss it, just give us a yell.
Yeah, I think there must be, Ronnie, you may have a better idea, but there's got to be over 110 social service agencies in Tompkins County. That's my guess. I don't know.
It's very, very high.
It's
Very
very high, and they're all vying for money. You know, they want everybody's donations so they can operate. And then there's
Yes.
overhead to operate each of these things. And it's like, it's mind boggling. How many
I
kids?
really wish there was
organizations-
more, like everything got amalgamated into one group,
Yeah,
because I find it really confusing. And even at the JYC the other night, they were talking about Lansing and the disappointing attendance out of Lansing. But then I was bringing up that all of our youth here can also attend Town of Lansing programs. So we kind of split, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, I
Right.
wish we could just be part of one group.
Is everybody anxious to get off? I have a question which is going to spark some discussion with maybe Ronnie, with Ronnie anyway. If people want to get off and get off. But, and Simon, you've been going to the Lansing meetings, right?
Yeah, not for the past month, but before that I was. It's just busy
Well, I'm
month. I
just
think
curious. I see this stuff about this land auction going on. And then I know that at one point, the NICEAG officials came in and was talking about turning that into a data center. And they were looking for approval down the line to take the facilities, the old NICEAG building down there in the coal burning plant. They were going to turn that into a data center. And now it's quiet. It's been quiet for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm wondering if there's been anything else about that at the Lansing meetings. And then, but then NICEAG wants to sell off this other chunk of land that's bordering the lake, which is causing some issues with the residents around here. So I'm just wondering where they are with the data center.
I haven't heard anything in quite some time.
Yeah, interesting.
No, I hadn't heard anything either. But I believe there was a meeting. Was the meeting last night, Jody? Do you know? Yeah, because I've still got to sit in. I usually listen into it. I did the YouTube afterwards because I had another meeting last night at the same time. So I've still got to listen into last night's meeting.
Hmm.
But it had been months since I'd heard anything about the data center.
Yep. Okay.
There was some pushback because they were considering making it a data center. And then someone suggested that they were going to use it for Bitcoin data mining. So the Bitcoin thing, if once it gets started, it can consume a lot more energy than that facility is able to produce. So I think that might have put a hold on it. But that's not anything official. That's just word of mouth.
I'd heard a solar farm at one point too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Okay.
Then the only thing I was going to talk about was I was going to tell you all that our AV system, our audiovisual system, was installed in the office. Jody's kind of been trained on it. Mike and I have been trained on it. It seems to work pretty well. There are a couple of real minor issues, nothing that's to worry about that's going to be fixed. But at some point we can have hybrid meetings there. And like I said, we would only need one person in that room using that system for any of the public that would want to show up, as long as we can do remote meetings. If it's not remote meetings, we would have to have at least a quorum in there. The installation seemed to go pretty well. It seems to work pretty well once we set it up. When we were testing it, everything worked well except for Wi-Fi. Jody, did John Bram ever come in and look at our router? Do you know? You're muted, Jody. You're muted, Jody. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I know that Aaron put in an extra connection on the plug-in, so that was a hard wire into the
Yes.
computer. So
Right.
that fixed my issue.
The Wi-Fi laptops, Windows laptops within that conference room, in fact, I think within the building, do not work. They will not connect to the router. Mike's won't, yours won't, and mine won't.
Mhm.
And so I know that Aaron was going to contact John and describe to him what was going on, see if John could come in and take a look at the router.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if John had come in yet. Have you seen him? Oh, well, you're not there. You're not there. Mike, have you seen John? Or okay. So that's an issue that we'll have to work out. But temporarily, there is a wired LAN connection that the computer can plug into, laptop can plug into, and that works great.
Mhm.
But if anyone was in there as a visitor and when they wanted to use the Wi-Fi to display something within the meeting, they would not be able to do that. Another thing is that I've set up, I don't know if you all know this, but I've set up a weekly Meet the Mayor meeting every Wednesday from 2 to 4. That's a public invitation to people, and they just sign up online and it lets me know. And currently I would just meet with them by Zoom during those 2 hours. No one signed up yet, but I'm at least making the offer, and it will be standing for as long as I am the mayor, I think. At some point, if I'm ever back in the office, then we can do it within the office, but right now it's Zoom.
That would be a good topic for the newsletter.
Yes, it is going to be. And by the way, I was going to remind everyone, be sure and get your articles in. I know Simon submitted some. Jody, I'm working on some. They're just not finished, but I will finish them probably over the weekend and get them to you before your deadline. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
That'll be
thank you.
good.
So if you're writing articles, please write them and get them to Jody so she doesn't have to bug us about it.
We need to also figure out, because that Yahoo thing went down. So I can't send emails. So I don't know how we're gonna deal with that this time. If you got something else worked out and that we'll put it in the newsletter, or.
We can do that.
I
I
have 300 people that I have a list of. I do actually have their emails
Then,
that I printed a
then
couple years ago.
scan that in or turn it into a digital document. We can import those into a Google group, and it just goes through Google instead of Yahoo. It's very similar to Yahoo.
So I just need to scan those papers and send them to you?
Do you not have them digitally?
No,
Jody.
no, I couldn't.
Yeah, you can.
I printed it off just because I don't
Yeah.
even know why. I just came across the other day. I'm like, oh, I never knew I printed this off.
Yeah, just scan those and send them to me. I can, if you can scan them into a high resolution PDF, I can actually perform an OCR on that document and get the emails converted into text and names if you've got it. And then I can import that information into a Google group, and we can start using that instead. And we could just, the first email through that group would be say, we've changed from Yahoo to Google. So this is the new email list, and it will work just like the other one.
Okay, I'll pull out the
Okay.
list and have Mike scan it to you.
Okay. All right. Good. And I think that's all I've got for today. So if someone would like to move for an adjournment,
So moved.
Randy moves, Simon
Second.
seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
All right.
Okay. And thanks, everyone. Have a good day and good luck. Stay safe.
Take care, everyone.